To begin, we'll be shifting the spotlight to the future of AI, electrification, connectivity, and autonomous vehicles. Sounds interesting, right? Let's jump right into this great fireside chat. Please join me in welcoming Jai Mays, President of Mays Freight Solutions, and Luis Rossano, who is the founder and CEO of Blue Cork Group. The stage is yours.
Sit in, we can sit right here. Right here.
And I think that we're more centered here.
Yeah, let's just do this.
Yeah.
How about that? You
Let's
can
sit
sit right
together,
here.
yeah.
There we go. Hello, everyone. I am so grateful to be here. I know it's the early morning and everyone had a late day yesterday, but I'm so glad that we were able to learn and get perspectives from all of the other panelists and speakers yesterday. We're excited to be here this morning. I am glad to also be speaking with my new good friend here, Mr. Luis, and who is all about AI. Myself as well. I am the president and founder of Mays Freight Solutions. We are a third-party logistics supply chain company that integrates AI in how we operate at Mays Freight Solutions. We want to speak about AI, autonomous trucks, vehicles, and the connectivity, which in the beginning has always started with logistics. And it has spanned off from logistics. So what we want to talk about today is how it has grown and matured in the supply chain, how it can improve supply chain, because we don't want to just focus on regional and national solutions. We always want to focus on global solutions. And we bring in AI, we bring in electronic vehicles. We bring all of this in to make the earth greener, there's a lot of talks about climate change, but we do all of this so we can save our planet, to make things more efficient, to make lives more convenient, and also for speed. A lot of us live in a microwave world, so this is exactly where we are. We want it now. So this is what AI and this is what electricity, you know what I'm trying to say. Hell, I can't get it out. This is what it does. And so I do want to turn it over to Luis here, because as I have learned this morning, he is involved in a lot of AI corporations, a lot of AI startups. He's a shareholder in a lot of AI companies. And even with what he's doing to try to save the global economy, again, not just focusing on regions, not just focusing on different locations here and there. We're looking for a global solution to help save our planet, make everything more efficient, make sure customers are always happy because they have instant visibility. Everyone wants visibility on their freight, their cars, anything that's imported and exported. Also, a big deal on how AI and supply chain can work together to try to solve the hunger problem, and to also try to solve the water shortage problems. So we're going to talk with Mr. Luis here. We're going to have this fireside chat. We're going to open it up for questions. But Luis, can you please tell the audience your background?
It's too long.
Okay, it's too long. No, so he's awesome.
I think
okay.
I don't sleep, so I have more time than others. That's on it. I would want to go for why we should do all these things. Yeah. Why we should push forward this border of the science. First of all, because if we think in terms of the universe, we are just so little that, universe doesn't care about us. Yeah. But in some sense, and it's just a metaphor, I always try to think as in the civilization as something that when we started to go and push forward our own nature, wild evolution, when somebody got a good idea, but we didn't have an alphabet, it was like a little spark that was lighting the complete, night of the universe. And in the very moment that we could produce a language, and everybody could read it down and just leave some, paintings in the walls, and those sparks change to a fireside. where we can gather together and where we can light this darkness of the universe. So of course, it should be more life around. We don't know. But in a sense, it is important to prevail as a self-conscious and the conscious of our own planet. So pushing forward science, it's important for us. But we need to be very clear what does us mean, which is us, our planet, the biodiversity. So we are proud of the scientific advance that humanity has achieved, but it should be for something. It should be for something. And we were talking about that if somebody wants to check how to do properly, Internet of Things and using AI, they should go and look for logistics, because that's where it started. And the reason there are many reasons why it started. But the more important is it's an industry that it's very mature in those places. But it is important that we, chain everything to all industries and to all the world, because otherwise we'll have some solutions that help some people, but we have experienced right now with the pandemic that there are things that we need to solve all together for everybody, otherwise will not work.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, and as we advance in science, the world becomes a better place. I mean, if you go all the way back to when we had to send a message, we had to dip the pen in the ink, write the message, send it with a messenger. And now life is we can talk into a phone to send an instant message. And so as that becomes more efficient and makes people's lives easier, we bring in AI also to let's clean up our planet. Let's use the supply chain and AI to solve hunger problems. Also, let's see what we can do in the global warming space. But as we were talking about global warming, you spoke about another threat that is deeper than global warming. And so let's talk about that threat that you were talking about.
It is important to reach complete electrification of the automotive industry, because as we know, we will help our planet in order to address the issues of the climate change. The problem is that climate change is producing another issue, which is the loss of biodiversity. And humankind can collapse first for the loss of biodiversity than for climate change itself. And the reason being is because the lack of food for ourselves. Yeah. So I think that we should be, we need to understand history and how we participated on it, and even though as engineers and as people that we have working around the automotive industry, I feel proud of it. But anyway, I know that we need to change in order to help ourselves and help everybody. So the transformation of the industry can not only save the issues of the carbon, for example, but if we improve our industry and push it into the way of the better logistics, better use of it, we also improve lives of people. And we, I don't know if you know, but 50% of tomatoes got rotten while transporting them. Every 5 seconds that we can save time, every 1 second that we can do it better, every 3 seconds that we can have a sensor there and have a better temperature, will mean that we can even solve, the food issue there. So the impact that we can create using the best tools in our, in our hands as an industry can address very direct problems, but can also help to improve other really large ones. So if we need to be, I think that we should take be enthusiastic about that. If we can, if we're in an industry that can enter into that direction and then solve those problems, come on, we'll be the heroes. Even though we're kind of the bad guys first, but anyway, I will say that it's in our hands to change it, and it is for me a very passionate issue, as I have, 2 daughters. One is 3-year-old and one is 1. And I really, really want them to enjoy the world as we have enjoyed.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to take responsibility, but also take the opportunity of the legacy that we will leave to them. And if we achieve it, it will be legacy, but also glory. So we're very, we're very fortunate to have that opportunity.
Yeah, well, and it's a big deal because there are a lot of issues that we need to focus on the earth. And the only way we can do that is with science. So as we progress, we'll be able to solve more problems.
Yeah.
I do want to pivot to the autonomous vehicles as far as freight transportation. I speak a lot about this. I speak to a lot of tech firms. I speak to engineers, and I also speak to the guys who are in the autonomous space. And the questions that I always have is, we want to put autonomous vehicles and we want to put autonomous trucks on the road. But we also know that in order to have autonomous trucks on the road, Freightliners, it would have to be a whole new infrastructure.
Yeah, that's right.
Because the way the world is infrastructured now, it's for human driving, for quick instinct. And if the autonomous vehicles were only sensing colors or shapes, and you're in a curvy situation, okay, before they can put the trucks on the road, there would have to be a total infrastructure on the highways. Yeah. And also the range of how far autonomous trucks can go. Right. There are different areas around the United States that only human trucks can travel to because of the instinct. So I just want to hear your perspective on that.
Yeah, I for example, in one of our companies that there is, for example, in rather not large volume companies. For example, there is no Maserati right now that has no piece that we create there, but we are also doing it for massive, volumes like for BMW and for Volkswagen, for Fiat, Chrysler, everybody. And 5 years ago, we were trying to say, we will not fight against the change. We should try to be the best in the new pieces that we will create. So we are, the top option for our clients to change. Maybe we will suffer a little bit of the change, because one of our advisors told us, yeah, but we're going to lose the volume. If you have this Uber thing, if you have these autonomous cars, you need less cars. That's right. And I was like, yeah, come on, the world is too big. I mean, we'll fight for our share. But what in the assessment that we made in that moment, we saw that there were like two parallel roads. One was that the startups needed to fight against everything. It doesn't matter that they don't change the infrastructure, whatever. I mean, there should be new ideas to change the world without changing all the world. But on the other hand, governments need to understand that change is needed, exactly as you told us. But if you see, it might be even easy to do it so. If you just concentrate the autonomous vehicles in order to be, to have special signs that they will read, it is not that expensive in the sense that you don't need to change new roads that throw electricity to the cars. But what is very interesting is the approach that the world has been doing, and there are really interesting study cases and white papers around the world. Of course, Estonia, that is improving their digitalization very quick. Germany moves itself. I live with my wife, which is right here, for many years in between Berlin and Mexico. So if you drive, you'll see like tons of trucks moving all the industry of Germany. It's amazing. We love it. So, and they have also new examples of it. I think that the deep change in how we consume can be done by improving the autonomous truck.
We would have to make sure all of the safety measures are put in place before we even pull the trigger on that.
Of course.
I also, and thank you for answering that question. We also had a chat, and I'm very interested to learn this because we all know that COVID-19 put a halt on a lot of things, and we've all had to pivot and switch totally to a digital world. It is not something that we were always gradually going to it, but then all of a sudden, the world had to stop, and we had to quickly find a solution to keep the world connected digitally. You mentioned, let's talk about AI. You mentioned saving lives because of COVID, and you have some artificial intelligence that can quickly save a life.
When we were in the process just right at the beginning of the pandemic, we were making some investments to create a center where we were trying to connect and understand the complete value chain of the automotive industry with AI and machine learning, and we were doing some really interesting stuff. On the other hand, we have been participating in developments, in health developments.
In health, yes.
But but we are well known about the automotive industry. Actually, we just received last year a very important, one of the most prestigious prizes in my country, which is Mexico, because it's delivered by the Mexican president. Thank you. But we are all well known for automotive. But anyway, on the 25th of March of last year, I received a call of two, ministers in Mexico saying, "Can you create a ventilator? Is it possible for you to manufacture a ICU ventilator to improve the COVID-19 issue while they're in intense care?" And we were like, I mean, I really don't know. I remember the date exactly because that's the day I met for the first time my daughter. So. In August last year, we have a pending patent on an ICU ventilator, which is 10 times cheaper, which is just only like plug and play because it's 25 pieces. The most important thing why we could achieve that is because we concentrate our efforts in the algorithms. So we could have a rather slim and light and portable apparatus, but we were thinking that, I mean, there's a lot of options in the market, but what we wanted is to connect that. The algorithms are AI algorithms, and it's connected to a data lake. And we have other apparatus like an oximeter, whatever. So we are trying to make a lot of databases into that data lake, because we believe that if we have all these things together, we can save more lives. It is not about the apparatus itself, which we are really proud, but it is about how this thing can collaborate with the database of doctors in either Switzerland or in Ethiopia that we were talking about globally. And we will open most of the data so we can learn more. But more important than that, it's almost like, like magic. When I saw the first time that these things can learn, it was spooky.
It is very spooky.
While I was saying it, versus now, I feel like, the goosebumps. So it is more important. You were saying about that, and I really love the way you presented while we were sitting there. It is how we understand how we can connect together in order to profit. But profit us, which means profit us, profit the world, profit the biodiversity.
And so when we speak about connectivity, we've got AI, we've got connectivity. We also need to focus on the wealth gap, okay?
Yeah.
It's a big deal. And as we build better AI, we need to make it affordable for quick results.
Yeah.
So I see, when I speak to a lot of tech companies, and everyone wants to be God. Let's just talk about it, okay? Everyone wants to have the finger of God. But a lot of them are only focusing on the ones the elite who can afford it. So let's talk about bridging the wealth gap to make AI, especially for autonomous vehicles, for the trucking industry, the logistics industry, but also I'm going to go back to this health industry because it plays a major role in the globe. I mean, our global living.
Yeah. What I think is once I have a friend, and then he told me, I want to create an app that can make life better. And I was like, perfect. And then he says, like Instagram. And I was like, how does Instagram make life better?
Instagram?
And he says, because I was watching horrible pictures all day long. And then as everybody's using it with the filters, everything looks beautiful. So I think that we should go deeper than that. But I always bring that kind of a joke. But he was really serious about that.
Yeah.
What I have experienced in the last, let's say more or less last year, is that I have believed this in several. I have participated when I was very young in creating ONGs of, especially women's rights and labor's rights. But I do believe there is a way to make it profitable.
Yes.
The way I present it to my board every time is, in Mexico, whether we believe that it's a macho culture, but this number, it's very different. Up to 72% of homes, the money that enter into those homes in Mexico, it's put by women, 51% to 100%. So most of the households in Mexico, and it's more or less around the world, women have the responsibility, not men. So if I'm going to invest in someone, in my company, to learn a lot of things and pay for schooling, whatever, many things, because I want them to be the best idea to invest is in someone that it's not throwing the job out. Someone that will try to keep it, because it's important to keep it. So they're always saying that I'm trying to, to just put some words in order to do whatever I want, which can be. But I do believe that these amazing things that we have been doing cannot be, how cannot be attached to the thing that we have fight to have 50% women in every single level for every single company? How can it, I mean, it is really disgusting to talk good about ourselves, but I think that our team have really a lot of things to be proud. So that means that we are kind of different to other companies because we are champions in some of the industries that we are.
Okay.
The main difference is that we have 50% women.
And that is wonderful.
So what I think about, I wanted to address that because when I think how to put AI for everybody, we don't need to be, let's say, just give away money.
No.
There's no need for that. What we need is to create the productivity and how it, and one of the most important things, if the ones that have the possibility invest more in how to impact all of them, then technology goes down in the cost. It's not only about giving solutions to everybody, but if we keep trying to find those solutions, the cost of them and for everybody will go down.
Good. Also, I also like to pick your brain because we also spoke about the future and what we see and how AI can brighten our future. I want to pick your brain and ask you, what do you see as far as now in the near future, let's say in the next 20 years? How do you see AI improving our lives globally?
I think sadly I cannot stay here for tomorrow conferences because I'm going to LA to see a fantastic man. The name is Dan Mapes. He wrote a book named The Spatial Web. They are liberating the protocol for the three-dimensional internet.
And he should go with you.
Yeah, yes, you should go. And what is very interesting about the book, I recommend it to everybody, is that everything is so connected and so intricate that what I see is how we can merge together. Although I'm an enthusiast, I'm really worried about, and I have been screaming that for the last 10 years, both in the business 20, in the OECD, and in the IMF, wherever I can have the opportunity, that I'm really worried about how we are losing jobs. Because the reposition is not for those people. They are not losing the jobs against a robot. They are losing it because of the lack of digital skills. So whenever we create new jobs, technological and more technical jobs, they are not for those ones that lost it. And that's why I'm really, really, really worried. I'm saying that because if we don't address that, if we don't use our technology and how we can merge together in order to bring everybody, it is not something about morals or ethics. It is just something reasonable to do, because otherwise the problems will be so high. Well,
we'll have a major wealth gap.
Yeah.
And again, it will only be focusing on regional, and we are focusing on the globe and how to improve the globe. So that is a good point that you bring up.
But I think that our industry, especially, if we go in the direction of all the things that you are talking about, and that you talk always in your conferences when you talk to tech people about our industry, it's a spark that can start everything else. Out of how we can bring food to our homes and everything. I mean, we don't have enough time to do it. So, but I truly believe that we have this beautiful opportunity to be the champions of the world and not the bad guys. So I think that's just perfect. That's a very good opportunity, and we can take it because I mean, very especially in your industry, in the logistics, as for me is one of the most mature that has been using not only AI or software, but the Internet of Things and how you can merge the real world with the digital world.
Digital connectivity, yes. This is exactly how the only way we can improve supply chain. And even with the importing and exporting right now, it's just a cluster crap of what is going on.
We saw the collapse of the logistic chain while the pandemic. So there are a lot of things to rethink. But we have in that industry, I spent 15 years of my life with a automotive industry, but in the logistics side.
Right.
We were making a packaging for cars.
So I want to ask you about cybersecurity, okay? Because we're operating in a digital space. So I want to talk about cybersecurity, and I also want to talk about regulations, okay? Yeah. We just, here in the United States, we were dealing about 2 months ago, I think a month or 2 months ago, there was a cyber attack on the pipeline. That cyber attack that was down for 3 or 4 days caused a lot of disruption. Cars could not get gasoline, trucks could not move forward with freight. As we move forward and progress in AI, everything is in the cloud. Everyone is exposed. There is no more privacy. How do you see in the future, how do you think that we could regulate cyber attacks? I mean, to minimize them.
Especially, I will ask for money to Dan because I'm promoting his book. But anyway, just read the book because one of the most important things is if the protocol, the new protocol, if we use all that protocol, but anyway, he is in advocacy and myself from my side, and that's how we connected very well, that we have the right of being anonymous. We have the right. And this is a right that has no fit right now with the technology as it is, and how whatever our phones work. It is a deeper issue that needs to go directly to how we understand how we will put in this cloud everything. The proposition of all that security, as comes from Dan, and I do agree with it, is that it is not only about blockchain, because whenever we have the quantum computing, it's super easy to crack almost every single password in the world in the first month. So we will face that thing, like in the next years. We will face that. What I think is that the approach of some entrepreneurs is a proper one, that we need to create antidotes to the things that we are creating. We cannot create all these Frankensteins on a daily basis and then don't think that they are coming back for us. So I do believe that this is the core issue. Let's just put an example. I was reading as on a daily basis about the automotive industry, and I was thinking, well, if we achieve to have these electrified autonomous cars, all of a sudden one hacker can stop the world. And we cannot allow that. So the investment should be 30% of the complete investment just in how we create not only safetiness, but the value of being honorable among us, which I think that the blockchain culture can bring us to decentralize things, to the way to be sure is if everybody is putting a piece of their a reputation
on the line.
So I think it's really complicated. I can go deeper. I think that I can leave it there, but I think that this is the core, and if we don't address that, then all the other things are not working. Yeah.
And so I want to also talk about, we were just talking about the cybersecurity, and then you're right, if one hacker can go in and take over the world, okay, there's always a mad scientist somewhere. So what safety measures, because there was a gentleman who was speaking, and he was in an autonomous golf cart, and he and his friend were riding along, and all of a sudden the car had to shut down in the middle. Thank God it shut down in the parking lot, but just God forbid it had shut down in the middle of a highway. So When it comes down to AI, on regular cars, if something breaks, a human can go and fix it with their hands.
I think, well,
so
I remember when I was a kid and I started driving, I remember that my father opened the car and then he taught me a bunch of things. When I was already in high school, once I was driving a car, then it stopped and I opened it and I didn't saw anything that I learned like just 5 years ago. The car didn't have anything that my father taught me. So I think that there are like two pieces for the answer. And one, it has to do with the regulation that you were talking about.
The regulation,
That how we interact, because I don't think that we should have a coliseum where we fight for everything and that, you know, the profits and everything. I think that there are certain things that we need to, you know, understand together and to commit to those rules. The only way that we have understanding this civilization is with government. This is the tool that we have. Some like it, some not. But I do agree that if you leave it just to the public, there are certain things that we need. We're not leaving it to the government. What I'm saying is that government can lead, but we should be, you know, part of that conversation of how we are. I mean, the rules of the game.
Yeah.
As simple as that. No rules. It's just a wild game.
You have to have regulations and you have to have rules.
Yeah.
There's lines that you can't cross. I think we are past our time. So we're going to take some questions. Does anyone have any questions?
We talk about really crazy things, so I think that everybody would be.
We have pivoted to different questions and crazy things.
I think that someone.
Could you repeat the name of the book you were referencing?
Yes, that would be great.
Yeah, the spatial web.
The spatial web?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the author is Dan Mapes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good morning. Thank you for the over here.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for a great chat. I wanted to make a comment about autonomous driving, particularly in commercial vehicles. I would encourage everybody to look at what Volvo is doing. And what they're doing is they're launched their autonomous truck, but on a limited basis for transporting containers from the shipyard to a warehouse. And they are on public roads, not very busy public roads, but still on the public roads. So they're piloting this right now. And maybe that's the way to start. This is still helping because it's freeing up drivers who used to drive these trucks. And it's relatively safe because it's not on interstate highways. So I just wanted to make a comment that we don't have to conquer the world all at once.
No.
It could be done in smaller steps.
Yes. Well, they've been, you know, starting this since 1920 and it's 2021, so we've still got a long way to go. I'm not too scared about that. Any other questions? And thank you for your comment. Okay, great. It has been a pleasure to chat with you, and we're going to have to continue this conversation. Yes. I love to pick the brains of individuals and see their perspectives on how they see the world, too, and how we can all improve the globe, since we all live here on this planet together. So thank you all for having us, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day in the conference.
Thank you.